Gina Carano is suing Disney, and quite frankly,
Police, get what you deserve!
the Gina firing is one of the most farcical events in Disney history due to how antithetical it is to how they act normally.
Snakes, of course.
Whether that be Pedro Pascal from The Mandalorian calling people Germans. Remember, this is a guy who's so replaceable in The Mandalorian, he doesn't even act in it anymore. In fact, actors for Disney regularly attack the fans. Here's another one.
The Star Wars fan base really seems to be the most kind of toxic.
All of that is fine because Disney has drawn an ideological line in the sand, and if you agree with them, you can seemingly say anything.
Professor Ludwig, why don't you tell our shareholders how they can vote?
Attack the fans as much as you want, and Disney won't say a peep.
All of the people were angry.
Those people,
Various
people that we
awakening
need
of-
to educate.
But you say even the most mild of comment that disagrees with their sacred cow, and well, you end up like Gina, fired after this post where the essential message is that the government made people hate their own neighbours first, and after that, they could do anything to them. How is that any different from hating someone for their political views? And she dared to have the gall to write boop bop beep in her bio, something that was accused of being a slur, but as any sane person knows, those are words that you can choose yourself. They can be anything, and Gina's was simply boop bop beep. But now because Disney, the bigots, claim that you can't call yourself anything you want. No, you've got to choose from the official prescribed list, which is just longer than the previous prescribed list.
Make it make sense.
They came out and demanded that she watch various different documentaries and attend a Zoom call with 45 people on it. Anyone who's been on a call with 10 people knows it's very difficult to talk as it is. At 45 people, that's just a struggle session. That is, you sit in a chair and everybody else will shout at you about how you're a bad person until you eventually break down in tears and give in. It's the aim, it's the goal, and it's a very old tactic.
So they announced publicly that you're not coming back after this post that you put on social media, and we'll get to the content of the post in just a second. Did they ever come to you and ask for an apology? Did they ever come to you and coordinate with you in any way? Or did you just essentially pick up a newspaper one day and you read that you were no longer on the show?
I looked on the internet and, you check your Twitter and I'm trending, and the Fire Gina Carano hashtag worked.
So Disney never contacted you and asked for some sort of back down or some sort of explanation. It was just, you're done, and you find out essentially the same way everybody else did?
Well, yeah. I mean, I saw somebody from the company accidentally sent me a conversation of that they were tracking the Fire Gina Carano hashtag on content that had nothing to do with me. It was actually had zero to do with me. And then all of a sudden, I always get thrown in the mix. Like, okay, so this is trending, but let's put her in there, Fire Gina Carano. And they accidentally sent me an email, which was very enlightening. So I knew they were paying attention. I know that there's some people that went to bat for me, but I know that they didn't really win out in the end.
Let's talk about the social media post that brought the world down around your ears. This is a social media post in which essentially you were making the argument that bad things, the way you treat your neighbor can slide over into actual oppression of your neighbor. So there's a picture of a woman, a Jewish woman in the Holocaust running away from Germans. And the caption essentially made the argument that Nazis didn't start by killing people and common Germans didn't start by going along with the Holocaust. This all started by people dehumanizing people who lived next door to them.
Mm-hmm.
And the reaction to this was that somehow you were attempting to downplay the Holocaust, or that you were comparing Republicans to Holocaust victims,
Mm-hmm.
or something like that. I wanted to give you a chance to sort of explain what you were thinking and what you meant by that.
I am so inspired by the gentle spirit of the Jewish people going through that time. And, you watch I think I watched this older Holocaust survivor, her court case, and they found this old Nazi man, and he was old, and they rolled him in on a stretcher, and they really played this up, and she forgave him. She forgave him in court after putting her through what he did, and she faced him. And I'm always so inspired by these stories. And I always wondered, how did that happen? You know what I mean? So when I posted that, it wasn't something that I felt like was controversial. It was something that I thought, well, maybe all of us need to ask ourselves how that happened. Because, it's important. The post never said anything about Republicans or conservatives. It doesn't say anything about that in there. It was more about people tearing each other apart. And I thought it would be more of a thing where you know, bring people together. I was like, oh, this is like, you know, bring people together.
Okay, then, let's take a trip down memory lane, shall we? The following post and resulting conversation took place shortly after the firing of Gina Carano. The post never said anything about Republicans or conservatives. It doesn't say anything about that in there. It was more about, like, you know, people tearing each other apart. And I thought it would be more of a thing where you know, bring people together. I was like, oh, this is like, you know, bring people together.
It has been difficult for me to move forward with the lies and labels stuck to me, backed and encouraged by the most powerful entertainment company in the world. An entertainment company that has built discrimination into the very foundations of their company. Something that taints every single piece of entertainment they create. Is it any wonder that the entertainment is crap now? Very apt from South Park there. And the thing is, I know the access media will come out and stand with Disney with such ridiculously loaded titles, such as ex-Star Wars actor Gina Carano once caught to force Lucasfilm to give her job back, you're missing an entire word there, using Elon Musk's money. No, she doesn't. Do you think after everything that's been described about the company, someone would want to go back and work there? Are you insane? Why would you want to work at a company full of gremlins and demons? All of this because sacred cows were insulted by beeping. This isn't a logical attack. This isn't based in reason. This is the same response you get to insulting a religious belief. That's why PC Gamer is talking about it. What does this have to do with a gaming magazine? Nothing. But the failed journalists who are forced to write about games they don't even like are at it again. The Mary Sue comes out. This Gina Carano saga that no one cares about anymore, that's why we're writing an article about it, just got worse. And there was an earlier title that they had for this same article, which they changed. Gina Carano sues Disney over deserved firing. I guess we changed the title to appear a little less, biased. Because if you think the firing was deserved, well, you're proving that you care about it. That means you've looked into it, looked at all the facts, and then made a decision about it. It requires effort and time, and that means that you care. But of course, if you come to the incorrect conclusion, and you're sitting there alone in your little corner surrounded by blue-haired nutters, well aware that you're on the losing side, well then you're just going to try and shame people into it. No one cares about this anymore. Why are you wasting your time? If you care about this, you're the one who's not in the majority. And obviously, you want to go with the herd, right? You wouldn't want to stand out from the crowd, would you? You wouldn't want to stand on your own 2 feet. No, no one cares about it anymore. Be like us, in the majority. It's why they had to reframe it from one that everyone would obviously disagree with to trying to shame people as if you're the problem.
You're hit. You're bleeding, man.
I ain't got time to bleed.
Oh, I'd say that it's predictable, and I'd say that it's also a long time coming. With that said, the question does remain: what will become of the situation? Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the War on Pop Culture. This is episode 26.
Yep, 26.
And we are once again talking about Gina Carano. This time we have some pretty big news. We're covering this a few days after it came out, but better late than never. Here we are. We're going to discuss it. Gina Carano is suing Disney, and I'm curious. I'm curious about what is going to become of this. I'm curious if she's going to win, and I'm curious if she does win, what will become of Disney, because there's also some rumors floating about the interwebs that Elon Musk, who is helping to fund this lawsuit, he's eyeing to buy Disney. And if that is indeed the case, what could become of that? I mean, we've seen what Elon Musk has done with Twitter. Some good,
X,
some bad.
Tesla.
Nobody actually calls it X, though.
I call it Twitter still.
Twitter is...
Everyone does. Anyone.
I mean, it's pretty simple. It's easy to remember. It's always been Twitter. It's like trying to change what is, which people are trying to do, right? They try to do it every day. They try and change what is. In certain cases, it's very unnecessary. Like trying to change the dichotomy of male and female by trying to add in something in between, as if that makes any sense. Of course, it doesn't. But
it doesn't.
Here we are, because it's still being legitimized, and that's something I do want to talk about as we go on. That what we're looking at, the sort of corporate takeover and the bastardization of our culture, it's a twofold deal. Because, yes, the corporations are responsible for this. They're responsible for starting it. They're responsible for pushing it. With that said, the message can only go as far as the audience that is meant to receive it takes it. Because if they're sending out a message and the people they're trying to target aren't responding to it, then the message falls flat on its face. But because that's not happening, because there are ignorant people that are carrying out the bullshit, it makes it that much harder in the culture war to really gain some victories. And victory is not impossible. It's just difficult. And it has been difficult because what we've seen is major corporations cement themselves deep to the point where it's like trying to uproot 1,000-year-old tree. You're going to have a hard-ass time doing it.
Yeah.
So
pretty much
with Gina Carano, that's why I'm curious as to where this is going to go, because this situation is a little different in the sense that Disney's been getting a lot of flack recently.
Yeah.
Like they're not in a very good spot from a PR standpoint or from a financial standpoint.
No.
They're not in a very good spot. So
And it's beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
You'll love to see it.
I'm just curious about, what's going to happen with this lawsuit. Yeah.
Yep. Also, I would like to add that not only is Disney getting flack, but you want to know what else is causing them to get more flack? There was this article, I didn't read it all the way through, but Disney wants to remove tiki-themed such items from, I don't know what, they just don't, because it's not culturally appropriate. I'm like, bullshit. Like, excuse me, you have two good films talking about Hawaiian movies, Lilo and Stitch and Moana. Okay? How are you going to get rid of that? Like, it's, I don't know, I just skimmed through it, just.
What's going on, J-Man?
Hey, what's up?
Because they don't know the difference between appropriation and appreciation?
Yeah, exactly.
I think they do, but they just want to label things and people however they want, in spite of actual context. And that's the biggest thing, like with the Gina Carano situation. Context is important. Okay, so the biggest thing, to me anyway, about what got her fired, it wasn't the Bebop group. Like, yeah, that was pretty, like, wow! You know, everybody started losing their shit over it. But let's be honest here. What really got her canned was the statement about the comparison of how Jews were treated by their neighbors and eventually by the government in World War II to the political divisiveness of today.
Mm-hmm.
That's what got her fired. And of course, as if you looked in the intro, I shared some messages. Once again, as you guys may know or may not know, we were part of a podcast network a couple of years ago, and when Gina Carano got fired, we voiced our support as we should. I mean, it was only natural. We looked at the situation, we looked at what was said, we came to our conclusions, and we were like, yeah, she shouldn't have gotten fired. She never said anything wrong. There was nothing anti-Semitic.
Yeah,
that term is being thrown around a lot, by the way.
Like,
it has been a while because it's still a sensitive subject. Though this idea that the idea about certain groups of people that shouldn't be touched, right? That shouldn't be criticized. Okay, we are seeing that with things like the LGBT community, right? Where you can't criticize them. They've been through so much oppression, and it goes the other way too. Every person under the sun, every group is subject to criticism, constructive or otherwise. That is a fair playing field. If they fucked up, whatever group fucked up, and people want to call out for it, you shouldn't be shamed for calling them out.
No.
With that being said, the context of Gina Carano comparing Republicans to Jews, it's hilarious because you can see the post, you can see what she shared. It's been shared across the entire web. People can see it for themselves. It's not like it's something that's hidden. There isn't any room for interpretation. The wording is right there.
Yeah.
Like, so what are you? Are you blind? Are you deaf? Or how should I say this without being offensive? Retarded in not seeing that.
Well, yeah. I'd go with that one. Because that's what the softies or whatever the fuck you want to call them anymore, these lunatics, they just want to be recreationally offended because, hey, if I'm offended, I'm a good person, right? I stand in the center of the moral compass. But you cannot criticize me because, well, I mean, you can because then I get to compete in the oppression Olympics, don't I?
Same with me, though. I'm fucking handicapped, and I get to say retarded, and some person loses their shit saying you can't say retarded. Like, actually, I'm mentally handicapped, so I can. So fuck you.
Completely unrelated, but the way you started to word that reminded me of this one skit in Family Guy where it was a Rosie O'Donnell joke.
Yeah.
And God was drunk, and the angel came up. He's like, "Hey, you can't put a vagina on this man." He's like, "Why not? I'm God." Sorry, it's just the way you started wording it. It sounded like it.
Yeah,
completely random. Sorry, it's what came up.
But also Ben Shapiro in that interview with Ben Shapiro, at least he understood the situation and what Gina was talking about.
Quick side note, you could tell how emotional she was in that interview. Not just in that one clip, but the entire interview, because it's true. The thing about cancel culture that gets somewhat overlooked is that the ramifications of it. See, with a lot of the terms that are thrown around, both from the left and the right, if you want to use that example, we throw around these terms, and sometimes we forget the meaning and the ramifications that they can have, because all publicity or bad publicity is not good publicity, because if you're essentially black marked, right, or you got a black spot on your record, as they say, that stuff can stick with you, right? And because we're in a sort of court of public opinion when we go online, bad reputation can mean the death of your brand if you get enough bad flack. And that's what's happening with the cancel culture thing. And that's one of the reasons why Gina is speaking out, because she said it in her tweet that it's been very hard for her to move on. She can't get work in Hollywood. She can't go back to Disney. They blacklisted her.
Well,
right?
Fine. Not to mention they did it in a fucking dick way though. Like they just said, they just put it out, like they just blasted her like to the whole world, saying like, hey, yeah, like instead of just straight up coming to her, like let me
professionally, Carter. That's what you're trying to get at. They did not. They did not handle this in a professional way.
Yeah, they did it in a bitchy way though. I mean, like seriously, like you're just gonna straight up just say, oh, guess what? This character's fired. This actor or actress is fired. We didn't decide to fucking tell you. We just want you to find out while you're browsing through your phone. Like, fucking dick move though. I mean, like, hey, don't if you're gonna have the balls to fire someone, don't fucking do it behind my back. You come straight to me and you tell me, or you tell me to come meet you somewhere, sit down and we talk about it like regular people. And by the way, fucking cancel culture is nothing but a bunch of people who are sad, miserable people that are too bored with their pathetic lives, looking to just bitch and moan and complain about everything. It's basically modern day witch hunt.
That's common sense.
Yes, exactly. Like example, like there's just a stereotypical white girl just sitting there, not doing anything, just minding her own business. Oh my gosh, she's a straight white woman. She's just cancel her. Or basically, what else is considered cancel culture? Oh yeah, Aunt Jemima, Land O'Lakes, really? Like, I mean, Pearl Mining or Pearl Mill. Seriously, you decided to change a pancake brand because a woman on there looked like she was doing blackface. No, that's horse shit. What else are you gonna fucking do next? Are you gonna get rid of the tapiaco or what, the tapatasco or whatever the fucking the hot sauce guy on it? The guy, the
don't
Mexican,
give them ideas now.
What are you gonna do? Fucking get rid of that because it's too racially offensive? Like, bitch.
Ideas.
Not giving you ideas. I'm just saying, what are you gonna do now?
You are giving them ideas. Damn it.
You are giving them ideas. Someone's gonna hear that shit and they're gonna take you seriously.
Oh, and the fucking
you know what?
the Land O'Lakes thing.
This chubby guy is right. We need to get rid of the Tabasco sauce.
The
Fuck that shit.
Tapatasco, whatever the fuck it's called.
Oh, you know what I find? Hang on though. Back to the whole like how they approach firing someone. This is what I find hilarious. How is it they were more professional with firing Bob Chapek or whatever the fuck his name is more than Gina Carano?
Because
comparatively speaking, I mean, yeah, they called him, but yes, on a Sunday at an Elton John concert. I mean, Nerdrotic, he's brought that up so many times. So, like, of course, I know this now.
I guess Bob Chapek isn't going to look at Elton John the same again.
Well, isn't Bob Chapek also a giggling fairy like Elton John?
Yeah, but I guess, being fired from Disney while attending one of those concerts, he's going to be like, maybe Elton John is like a bad omen. Anytime I hear an Elton John song, better get the fuck out.
Or hearing a John Denver song while at an airport.
Ew. Why?
Because John Denver died in a plane crash.
We're talking about Elton John, sir?
Well, because you said it was like if you listen to an Elton John song, it's like a bad omen. So
for Bob Chapek,
I know
specifically.
That's why I was trying to make a comparison.
The comparison is not there. I'm sorry.
Never mind. Never fucking mind. But like it was totally pathetic in the way that company did it, though. Like I said, though,
company, just name them off.
Fucking
Use the D word.
Disney just straight up fired you. How should I say this? Not professionally. You like a child. You're just like, hey, you're fired. Guess what? We didn't tell you. Like, guess what? You're fired. Shit like that. I'm like,
yeah,
wow.
But you see, here's the problem.
It's less childish, more cowardly, if you ask me.
Yeah,
no, let me phrase that.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem. They didn't just fire her, and this is where the more legalese comes in, because it wasn't just a simple firing like, oh, we wish her the best in her future endeavors. They slandered her. They threw labels on her, and this is where the sort of legalese comes in, that you're slandering somebody.
Yeah, sue the fuck out of them.
Yeah. And I hope that she wins. I hope that it's a huge slap in the face to Hollywood and Disney. You know, if you listen to her interview with Ben Shapiro, she talks about, you know, people that stood up for her, and, you know, the sort of closeted people that are like, yeah, you know, I agree with what you're saying, but we just can't speak about it publicly.
No,
that shit is over from my perspective. Like,
that's just
I know
for the birds.
I'm not in Hollywood. I don't know the inner workings of that. It's just right now we're seeing Hollywood burn. Like, it's a very slow process, right? It hasn't really sunk in just yet. We're seeing the signs though. And for me, it's like, now's the time to come out. Now that Gina is lighting a proverbial, you know, what is it? The flames of God from Lord of the Rings.
The beacons?
The beacons are lit, right?
Sure.
Okay,
I mean,
that's how I sort of look at it in a way. In the sense that that sort of grandiose message that, hey, shit's about to go down. And this is where people need to be coming out. You need to come out and speak out against this fucked up corporation. People are leaking things out. The whole DIE shit. Or DEI.
It's DIE because it's a death sentence to any business model now. I mean, when that's all you're going to base your employment preferences base, like that's what you're going to do, like, you got to stop putting the D word in the forefront for everything. Stop making that your motive for everything, because it's just clouding everyone's judgment at this point. Because as a result, it's a slippery slope, and that's all people see now is just people based off face value, i.e. skin color, gender, or even fucking sexual preferences. It's a death sentence to everything, but they always try and use it like, oh, but we could use it as a shield. If anyone questions us, we could just call them bigots. And, I mean, Disney, like, obviously, like, they fucking live off that shit now.
It's like their bread and butter.
Yeah.
But the bread and
I'm
butter
gonna
is...
fuck it.
The bread and butter is stale. Well, the bread is stale. The butter is expired. They're eating a shit sandwich.
Well, at least it's not Land O'Lakes butter. Another victim of cancel culture.
Yeah, well, I don't think we even had that brand up here, but I just wanted to bring something up. Whatever happens, I hope this doesn't interfere with, you know, the convention. I hope it doesn't interfere with that.
That's true.
That's
just knock on wood.
When is that convention supposed to take place?
At the last weekend of April.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Damn.
So,
yeah, that's true.
So please, for the love of, and because when I heard about the announcement that Gina Carano is going to be coming to a convention near me, obviously I'm excited as hell. But of course, that's a pretty big section of comments. Let's see what we've got, and you know, I'm seeing it all. Oh, good, you. Oh, I won't be going now. To people who say, I'm not going to go now because someone who shows up said something you don't like.
Then don't go.
Yeah,
or
we'll
don't
save it for the rest of us who don't give a shit. Or just ignore them.
Ignore them, or better yet, don't fucking meet that person. If you don't like her.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, like, or...
That's what I'm saying.
All right, then fuck off then.
That's what I'm saying, Carter.
Yeah. But even with that, it's like, if they suddenly announce that because of like what she's doing with the legal battle here, if she had to cancel to that, I mean, I would like
understand.
Bless your heart, Gina. You have my support. I understand. But I know, once again, because these people are so fucking predictable, they're gonna be, oh, we won. They heard us like constantly whining about how we don't want Gina Carano here because transphobia or something. Yeah, we won. No, don't take your fucking victory lap. She's fighting a greater battle than dealing with you little pansies.
You little piss ants.
I mean, not to mention, I mean, you probably saw who's coming now.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of people for me to fucking, I mean, even with that. I know I'm going a little off topic here talking about the convention I'm going to in a couple months,
okay.
but
you're good.
I mean, really, for the Screamcast, there's only 3 that I would call the essentials. So
Yeah. Skeet,
Nev, Skeet, and Matt.
Yeah, there you go. It's funny because they're going to be coming to a convention near us as well.
Yep.
In May, so it'll be after yours.
I'm starting to wonder now. Is there a link, like with all these conventions? Like every time there's conventions in a year, they always seem to have a lot of the same guests, even when they're taking place in different parts of this continent. I mean, not like I know about any conventions that take place outside of North America. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit, man. Maybe it's a message that we need to get our asses up to Canada, or for you to get down to Texas.
Yeah.
Shit, either one. I'll take either one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? There's something I do want to talk about is an interesting aspect that so Gina has talked about her desire to return to Star Wars, which I think some people are kind of taking the wrong way.
Mhm.
I think this is just my interpretation, just based on everything we know. I highly doubt that Gina wants to go back to Star Wars under the current leadership, which is why I want to lean into my theory, my sort of, projection into the future about what could happen. So I'll just lay it out for you. My theory is that if Gina wins the lawsuit against Disney, at some point afterwards, Elon is going to come in, buy out Disney, and start gutting the company like he gutted out Twitter, trimming the fat, so to speak. And then Gina will return to Star Wars, and whatever happens next happens next. That's essentially my little theory.
Mhm.
And considering what we've seen Elon do with Twitter, and if the sort of hints are to be taken as a possibility, a very high possibility, yeah, I could see it. Because look, if you as a Star Wars fan have the opportunity to step into that world, to make movies and TV shows in that universe, you know how cool that would be? You know how much of an honor it would be to be able to occupy in the same proverbial space that the likes of Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Princess Leia, Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You know how cool that would be?
Mhm.
I mean, as Star Wars fans, that would be awesome.
Yep.
Being able to meet some of these celebrities, being able to talk with them and hearing how, their experiences on the sets. It sounds so cool. It's just, for me, I can't enjoy that with the current leadership at Disney. Because
the
it's
magic
like,
is not there.
yeah, I mean, it's like seeing, here, I'll use a Clash of the Titans sort of reference. It's like seeing the princess chained to the rock as the Kraken is approaching, right?
Yeah.
It's like it right now. It Star Wars is not in a good place. It hasn't been since they were bought out. I mean, we didn't see the repercussions really until 2015. I mean, when they nuked the expanded universe, it was kind of like, well, this is not a very good start. I mean, you had some people that are like, oh, okay, no, we get it. They're going to start their new continuity. They're going to go with a sequel trilogy. We're going to see all the old cast return. Lots of promise. And because we hadn't seen a Star Wars movie at that point in 10 years, when they released that fucking trailer that got all the emotions riled up, I mean, they lured everybody in with a sweet serenade of bullshit, ultimately.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I can take that moment from the Force Awakens trailer and say, yeah, I'm so glad to see Harrison Ford again with Peter Mayhew presumably in that costume.
Yeah.
It was nice. It's just what followed was a few chest stabs, awkward use of Force lightning because losing your temper on a desert planet, a very whiny bitch that should never have taken off his mask.
Yeah.
Speaking to a mask that turned out to be one guy that actually turned out to be another guy. # somehow Palpatine returned.
Oh my god. That was bullshit.
Ho, ho, he, ha. I thought my jokes were bad.
Yep.
But that's where we are. That is you know what? That wasn't all, right? to be fair, the sequel trilogy left its mark, and then we moved on to The Mandalorian. Oh, now look,
God in heaven.
the one good thing, obviously, Gina Carano.
Mm-hmm.
Easy. Cara Dune, great character. Once you learn more about her, then they just snuffed her out of existence. They Thanos that shit, essentially, because she just swept her off the rug. I mean, then Carl Weathers passed away, and it's just like,
Damn.
you know, the investment was already gone when they fired Gina, but
Mm. And of course, as you've mentioned many times, as cool as it was to see Luke kicking ass and taking names, the sad part is we know where it leads. All
that was the
roads lead to the
biggest.
same destination.
That was the biggest slap in the face because it made everything pointless. They gave us more fan service like they did in the sequel trilogy. And then they pulled the rug right out from under us when we saw that fucking planet with the fucking Jedi temples being built by those stupid fucking crab robots. It's like, oh, okay. Ahsoka's there. That doesn't make anything better. Then the Ahsoka series came out. I didn't watch it, but I watched Despero watch it, and that was enough for me.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I think I mentioned this before, but there's something very entertaining about watching the British tear something apart verbally with their jolly little accents.
Wow.
I'm serious. Like I
get it, you bloody wanker.
I can watch Despero, Mauler, and heel versus babyface. I mean, these guys are great.
Well, first of all, Heels v Babyface is a Kiwi, not a Brit.
Fair enough.
And by the way, never doubt a Scotsman.
The drinker, of course.
The drinker. I mean, whatever. Europe. He's Scottish, and his voice is just captivating as hell.
It's funny because he was actually at a convention. Oh, a bunch of them were.
Yeah.
In Florida. Gina Carano was there too. It was basically another Fan Expo Dallas because they were all there. They had a panel. Eric July had a panel for the Ripperverse.
Nice.
I'm hoping that we get to have that again in the Fan Expo in Dallas eventually.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'd like to see that here.
Yeah,
I mean, it is owned by Fan Expo.
That is true.
But you know what was a missed opportunity, or what really sucked, was that the early day before the convention. You know that thing where we did a meetup at that bar.
Yeah,
Gina wasn't there. I was like, damn it, where is she?
It was probably a good thing though because that place was crowded as hell.
Yeah, like clearly was violating fire safety codes and shit.
Yeah.
It was hot.
Aren't any convention hangout parties like that though?
No, but this bar was.
But
like,
they are. They are.
Not to mention, this was in summer and it was hot as shit.
Well, the one I'm referring to wasn't in the summer. It was in the middle of October, and this was a small convention in my town. And even their little place where they had their little convention after party, or I mean, it was still in between this final day of the convention, but whatever. It was so crowded as shit. I walk in, it's like, holy fuck, I can't even take one step in this place. Oh, look, there's Steve Cardenas.
Yeah. Like, well, damn, how am I supposed to get a drink in here when this whole place is like crowded? It's like,
you can't. Like, I don't know why they don't just put signs on doors that say, yeah, we're at capacity. Like, for fire safety reasons.
Or probably have like a area blocked off, or sort of like a area blocked off where to go over here and some shit, or probably have like a bigger venue.
You know, but even at conventions, like, even last year, I can't believe I'm saying this, but when it came to the BS that happened in the last couple years before, where you got to walk certain ways in certain aisles because that's going to help reduce the spread of the bug. You got to go this way in this aisle and this way in that aisle. That's going to help. I actually wish they would incorporate that at conventions, if I'm being real with you. Like when you're going down like different aisles for where like all the different venues are, it's like, can we have one-way traffic here at least?
That's the thing. That's one of the most like frustrating things about conventions is just the traffic.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like, I mean, I just say this: walk around with a fire extinguisher, or better yet, run. Run with a fire extinguisher. Then no one's gonna stop you. Everyone's gonna get out of your way. Run around just going.
Yeah. Yeah.
No one's gonna
Oh.
stop you. Fire.
Oh.
Put it out.
Oh, and the other thing that fucking pisses me off though about conventions, though, premium lounge shit. Like, what the fuck? Like, seriously,
VIPs.
for VIPs? Excuse me, what the fuck is this shit? What are we on the fucking Titanic? What? Like, so what? We're like third class passengers. We're not allowed on this.
Well, I think that the
Fuck
bigger
you.
complaint should be the fact that the VIP lounges. Well, I gotta look at them, and they're just like the regular lounges, but blocked off.
Like,
there ain't nothing VIP about it other than, oh, well, there's not as many people.
well,
Yippee.
no shit. Like, dude,
Well-
like, god damn it, man.
Well, man, my issue mainly comes from when you're waiting in line to meet someone and they're always just allowed to just, skip the line. I mean, I get it. They paid extra for it, but
Yeah.
still.
Like, dick
You know
move,
what?
man.
Okay. Full disclosure, I had that once. I actually had that with Gina, believe it or not. There was a lady that I've seen her at at this particular fan expo the past 2 or 3 times that we went. She remembers me. We had a great conversation about Gina and I can't even remember if I had a VIP pass. That's the funny thing. I think that she let me go because I was just trying to get Gina's autograph for my picture, a gift I gave to my dad, and she let me go. I'm like, oh, I appreciate that. So I mean,
Interesting.
yeah, perks. I mean, it's all how you talk to people, right? You're able to converse with someone, have a genuine conversation. You grow a sort of bond. Certain doors get opened up. I mean, some might say it's unfair. The way I see it is that I sort of you earn a path, like you earn someone's respect, and they decide to do something good for you. I think it's a nice wholesome thing, and it was worth it because ever since we were canned, it was hard.
Yeah.
It was very hard because at the time we were a fledgling little podcast, barely getting off the ground, and then we were snuffed out. And I could have easily pulled a certain move where I just fucking flip flop and cop out,
Yeah, good thing we didn't. We stuck to our guns.
Well, yeah, dude. There wasn't any because I was never raised that way. There was no way I was going to take back what I said because, dude, when you look at the facts, Gina never. There was nothing wrong with what she said. That particular post that showed the Jewish woman during the Holocaust. Okay, there was nothing factually incorrect about what was being said there. She was making a specific point, and people decided that, oh, she's a fucking conservative, so she means Republicans, despite the fact that Republican doesn't appear in the fucking text. But people interpreted it. And then when you listen to Gina's interview with Ben Shapiro, she's relatively new to the political theater. She doesn't fucking know all the ins and outs of the shit. You can't just throw her in during this conversation with this particular individual. This wasn't part of the private conversation. This was on one of my public posts. But the guy, he was like, oh yeah, because she totally voted for Biden. Oh, because Joe Biden is the only fucking savior. It's like, it's Joe Biden or nothing. I don't care if you voted Donald Trump or even if you didn't vote for Donald Trump. If you didn't vote for Biden, you're the bad guy. It's like, where's the discourse? Where is the
tolerance?
Yeah, there you go. The tolerance, right? Because in certain people's minds, it's black and white. I'm not talking about skin color. I'm talking about the idea that there is the good, there's the evil, there is no in between, there is no middle ground for any of it. You're either with us or you're against us. That is the mentality of some people, and that is a shitty mentality to be in. Because
deals in absolutes.
You're putting yourself into a square or a bubble, however you want to title it, where
a box.
Yeah, a box that there's no room for interpretation. There's no room for growth. You're just you're locking somebody in without fully understanding their perspective.
Let me rephrase
Like,
that. You're sheltering
the
them.
internet, right? You have an internet conversation, and suddenly someone says, "Oh, I know exactly the type of person you are."
Really?
True
You
thing,
don't
by
know
the
shit.
way. True
Okay.
thing. True story. The same
Mhm.
person that I showed the conversation in the intro. Okay, that same person goes to my Facebook and says, "Oh, I know the exact person you are. You barely had a conversation with me. We never talked in person."
Never even saw this
After
asshole
that,
before.
after the incident. So it was shitty. It was stupid. And if that person is watching, you can go to hell. I
Or
hope
better
you're.
yet,
I hope you're crying, or I hope you're frustrated with the fact that, oh my God, Gina Carano she's suing Disney. How could she? She's the one that's in the wrong, dude. All it takes is for more people to come out and say the obvious, to share their own experiences at Disney, and say, yeah, first of all, Gina did nothing wrong, and a lot of us agreed with her on what she said. What she said was true. Oh yeah, Disney's also a very shitty corporation. Don't trust them for jack shit. I mean, that's an obvious thing. It's just some people need more larger than life figures to get it through their heads. In order for them, in order for it to register that, yeah, Disney is shit. For the common person, they're not thinking about this stuff on a deeper level that a lot of people like
You
us
know
are.
why? You know why?
Well,
Because, as they famously said in Red Letter Media, don't ask questions, just consume product and then get excited for the next products. Or even loyalty to Disney, loyalty to the brand, loyalty is salvation, loyalty is life. Well, and thus the Disney shills were born.
like a PC gamer in the intro, it's like, wait a minute, you guys are a Twitter channel or a Twitter page about computers, and you're talking about Gina Carano and Disney, something that has nothing to do with video games. It's like, okay, yeah, Disney has video games or video game studios working with them, but that's a pretty big stretch. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, again, it's clout chasing. I mean, even like the Mary Sue, this is one of those instances where it's like, I don't care which side of the political spectrum you're on, left, right, conservative, liberal. I don't care. When you always like to play the whole, I don't care, nobody cares, yet you're still taking the time to talk about it. It's like, do you have any self-reflection at all? Like the Mary Sue. Nobody cares about this. Well,
we do.
You apparently do. I mean, yeah, we do, but we're honest about it.
Yeah, we say we care.
Admit,
I mean, we're dedicating entire streams to the topic.
Yeah, this
we
channel
care.
was built on support for Gina Carano. But again, it doesn't matter which side you're on for me. Like last Sunday, all I could see is just everyone talking about the Super Bowl. I mean, people who are just watching it and just enjoying the football game. More power to you. Like Brett, man, good for you. The Chiefs won. like whatever. I even said to him on my Facebook, well, whoever wins, my dad loses because he always bets on the wrong team. Like if you're just one of those people who just wants to watch football, that's fine. But I'll admit, I am annoyed with Taylor fucking Swift. Who cares? Nobody's here to watch Taylor Swift. I mean, the media always just likes to draw the attention because, hey, look, the pop icon. I mean, who cares?
Also, because they're starting to politicize her, and for America, this is the big presidential election year. So they're going to start rolling out celebrities to promote the candidate that they want.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times have we seen it, right?
Too many times. Go back to 2020 with they're filming themselves in their houses naked and shit. It's like,
no.
Put some clothes on, you bastard.
Put some clothes on. You want to? Nobody wants.
Of them.
Not the entire world wants to see your little giblets, you little fucker.
well, they don't care. They want attention. And, well, they weren't getting a lot of attention that year because, we were kind of shut down for a while.
Yeah.
But even back to the whole Super Bowl thing, like, there's this, like, he's a conservative YouTuber type, and he was tweeting about how I will not be watching the Super Bowl. And he just continues to keep talking about what's going on at the Super Bowl. I don't care about the Super Bowl. Oh, Taylor Swift doing this at the Super Bowl. It's like, okay, for someone who just said you don't care about the Super Bowl and that you won't be watching it, you sure can't shut up about it. Like,
yeah. Well,
like,
you know what?
That's the mentality I hate going into anything where it becomes some kind of discussion among others. When you just say, "Oh, I don't care," but you don't shut up about it, it's like, stop kidding yourself. Just admit it. You do care. I mean, again, if we were talking about with us talking about the whole Gina Carano situation, we're not going and saying, we don't care about that. I mean, just let them do what happens. Let them fight. We're not. We're going in, we're going to talk about it, and we're not going to go and say, well, we don't care. We do care. That's why we're here. Like, just be honest about it, okay, people?
This channel was reborn on that very premise. Like, because, yeah, for any veteran of our channel, which part of me doubts to a certain extent because we didn't have much of a following to begin with. But for those that knew, that were in the know, whether during or after the fact, we were known as the C-Files podcast, and we changed our name for multiple reasons. But one of the biggest reasons was, well, our name was tainted. I like the name, like the C-Files. It was a cool name. It's just, looking at us now, well, we can't really call ourselves the C-Files because we got a gentleman with a D in the name. It's like, what, the CD files? It's pretty weird. Yeah, you see, it's kind of weird. But no, it was disheartening for us, okay? And we felt that we needed a brand change for multiple reasons. Carter already pointed out legality, because apparently there were other channels or other brands called the C-Files, which is pretty awkward. I'm like, what the hell is this? I did research and I don't see any of these people. Then all of a sudden, boom, there they are.
Like, where the fuck do you come from?
But, I mean, the biggest reason was that the name had just been tainted. It was that sort of bad rep that had been placed on us because, yeah, dude, you don't need to mention the name. Seriously, right? The point is that we needed to have a name change. And that name change was because, well, we voiced our support for Gina Carano. And to anybody that feels like they're in that sort of situation where you feel that you can't speak up for yourself, especially when it comes to situations like this, step up for yourself. Have the guts to say enough is enough. And look, there's going to be some hardship. Okay, that's what we went through. Sometimes you got to go through the hardship in order to get to that sort of proverbial light at the end of the tunnel. It's something that we were told when we were at Fan Expo Dallas, when we met Nerdrotic, Eric July, that the fact that we went through that and we stayed true to ourselves and stuck to our guns, that says so much about us as people and our morals, our values. So that's my sort of message to pass on to whoever is watching that is experiencing a similar situation where they're in a sort of negative environment and they feel like I really can't speak out. Now is the time, and you are not alone. You are not alone in that.
No. Well, I mean, of course, you got to speak up for what is right, too. I mean, now look, I know it could be subjective, like whatever your belief is, but the problem with, as far as I could tell, with society and how soft everyone's become, and soft, sensitive, and cowardly everyone has become, because it goes back to that old saying that, hard times create strong men, and then good times create weak men create hard times.
Yeah.
But there's so many people out there at this point who only see the world as their own. Like, hey, this is who I am as a person, like whatever fucking boxes you want to check off, I don't give a shit. But they always go out into the world, sort of go out into the world, and by they're the most they interact with it is on their goddamn phone or something. But even whether they're doing that or actually, you know, I don't know, going downtown to a shopping mall or some shit, they seem to have this thought that no. I don't have to adjust to the world around me. It has to adjust itself to fit me.
Yeah.
Like, that is the worst delusional take. It's one of the most poisonous delusions tainting so many fucking people now. Everyone is a fucking crybaby or a recreationally offended cry bully. Like, hey, bend to my will. I'm offended. Now apologize. No.
Fuck no. You.
The problem is that I'm not saying that we here in the party, but as a society, we've let this stuff fester. Like it was a joke early on, the early 2010s. We saw this shit developing. I mean, it had developed. Okay, this was a long process. Things were building up, and it got to a point where it started to go into the mainstream academia, and then to the politics, and then to the entertainment. And for a while, we laughed it off. We were like, "Oh, somebody thinks that there's an infinite number of genders. What a fucking clown!"
In a world
We don't need to take
of
it seriously.
pure imagination.
But look where we are now, where that's in terms of service for use on social media, or in certain states here in the U.S., you could be fined or imprisoned for misgendering somebody. That words are somehow manifested into physical violence, despite the fact that from a scientific standpoint, that's impossible. Yet here we are. Okay?
I mean, what the fuck ever happened to sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can't hurt me?
Oh, but that's just an old-timey
But, like, now I will admit, words can be hurtful, but it depends on how personal it is. But this is not it. Like, this shit has become weaponized by these lunatics, right? Like, anytime you see someone on, like, their TikTok, which is another reason why I refuse to ever fucking get it, so don't send me TikTok videos, whoever's watching, if you happen to have it. Like, these carbon-based life forms, these humans, I think, who are always, like, going around filming themselves at, like, restaurants and clubs and shit, like, where they're getting misgendered by the waiter, where you know what I'm talking about. You've seen that individual, but it's like, now it's either you're full of shit, or you're that delusional, or maybe call this far-fetched. Here comes the tinfoil hat. You're paying these people. Like, you are telling these people, hey, okay, I'm non-binary, but could you just do me a favor, misgender me on camera so I could reinforce my victim mentality and share it to the world and say that I'm an oppressed victim and I can win the gold medal in the Oppression Olympics?
Oh,
thank you.
Sort of
Here's
like
a $10 tip. By the way, my pronouns are John Deere. I'm a tractor.
Oh, sort of like Juicy Smollett when he decided to play victim.
Yeah, except I'd say that was a more extreme case where he hired people to beat the shit out of him, and then they tried.
Did they?
Oh, that's
like,
a good question.
Because you always gotta remember, saying that they were pouring water on him when it was that fucking cold out, he doesn't really show any signs of frostbite.
It's true. That is very true. Of course, the whole this is MAGA country, like it was so on the nose, and even after it was found out that he fucking lied and that his words are things that could start a fucking race war, people were not criticizing his ass enough, and he got off relatively scot-free, all things considered. But that's the problem, right?
It's narcissism.
Yes, where you have people that are so blindly following the message that they will do the most extreme shit to try and justify their mentality, there's a word I'm looking for, I can't even remember. But go ahead.
Well, even with that, like, again, with the whole weaponization of this whole identity politics thing that people are using, because, hey, I check off these certain boxes. Now I'm going to go tell everyone that I'm a victim, even though I have no evidence to suggest I'm a victim of what just happened. what didn't actually happen, by the way.
Hmm.
Like, E. Page saying that someone said to them that someone said, I'm going to make you a victim of hate. Like, saying very on the nose.
Mhm.
Like, this is what someone said. They said those terms exactly. Yeah, I'm taking things that never happened for 400, Alex. But, by the way, doesn't Paige just seem a lot happier now?
No.
You see those pictures. Looks miserable.
Yeah, I mean, she cut off her own boobs. Hormone blockers. Well, maybe not hormone blockers, but lots of testosterone injections, I'm sure. However that shit works. That's terrible, by the way. Like I was just scrolling through YouTube earlier, and I had seen a clip of X-Men 3: The Last Stand, and I remember her in that movie. And then I look at her now, I'm like, fuck.
Damn, what happened to the titties?
It's not just that. It's just, I mean, that's a big part. It's just getting rid of one's womanhood. I mean, it, especially when they finally realize it. Like you see this example of some women that went through the process of transitioning, and then they got to a point where it's like, oh my god, I can't have kids now. And it's like, yeah, it's too fucking late. And, you know, and then you start seeing them speak out more like, don't do this. Whoever tries to convince you to do it, don't do it. Don't go on hormone blockers. Don't cut off your breasts. You know, it's like, it's a terrible thing, but it's, again, an issue that we let fester. We let this shit grow.
Yeah.
You had people that spoke out, right? It's just the message wasn't being heard enough. And as a result, we're now at a point, once again, I'm going to bring this up. I've brought this up in so many episodes, but we're at the point now where people are okay with drag kids.
God damn it.
Non-binary children. Putting children on fucking hormone blockers.
Not here. Not here, though. Way to go,
happening.
Danielle.
I mean, it's disgusting. It's vile. The fact that people aren't burning down buildings as a result of this shit, it kind of gets me concerned. Yeah, that's extreme. It's just, here's the problem.
There's no instinct.
We have politicians that are greenlighting this shit. Elected officials that are greenlighting this shit. That they are okay with it. They're letting the agenda infest the schools, infesting entertainment, and it's one of those situations where you got to take matters into your own hands. You got to protest voting with your wallet, for example. Don't go to buy the next fucking Disney product. I don't care how good it looks. That's right. I'm looking at you, Deadpool and Wolverine. Yeah, that trailer looks pretty sick. I just got to remember, these are the same assholes that fired Gina Carano. These are the same assholes that are advocating for essentially child grooming. Just remember that. You want to go see that movie or any fucking Marvel or Disney product, just remember you're funding the pricks that are okay with fucking child grooming.
Yeah. Well, you're right. You want to go subscribe to Vouch's Patreon?
Who?
Oh, Vouch? You didn't hear about Vouch?
Who the hell is Vouch?
Okay, I don't know much about him. Apparently he's some liberal commentator, and during a stream he was caught with certain stuff on his computer monitor hard drive.
CP?
Yeah, that stuff.
FBI, open up!
I mean, yeah. I don't know a whole lot about it. I haven't looked too deep into it because just the idea of CP just makes me sick to my fucking stomach.
Yeah.
So I don't even want to think about it. But then again, I mean, there are worse things like,
fuck off. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you.
But look, he's a little piggy.
Fuck you and fuck that pig.
It's a little piggy thumb drive. I thought you liked the little piggies.
Fuck off.
Or was it ponies?
Actually, it was a mix of things.
Hey.
Blonde men, blue-eyed.
Shut the fuck up.
Blonde-haired, blue-eyed men.
Satyrs?
No, actually, it was.
Off topic.
Cats.
Irrelevance. Just can we focus, please?
I am focused, dude.
Yeah, sure.
Just relax.
So, hey, speaking of Marvel, who's excited to see Madam Web?
Nobody.
You know,
Yeah,
the only
nobody.
thing I know of Madam Web was in the 90s Spider-Man TV series, and
Oh yeah.
then I looked at the trailer for the movie, and I'm like, where the hell is Madam Web?
Where the fuck
Like,
is
I was
she?
expecting an old woman with glasses on and, you know, talking about the future, but what we got was a weirdly cut trailer.
That's putting it lightly.
Also,
Yes, I mean, I only saw parts of it. I didn't watch the whole thing.
Oh,
I didn't want to.
lucky
I'm
you.
like,
Well,
yeah.
lucky you. Yeah, I mean, this one's going to be another historical. I mean, maybe it won't be historical, but it's going to be another flop. Like, regardless, I'm already checking my own theater. I have the app and I can actually check like seat previews and shit. I'm checking this weekend. Like every showtime, it's like 2 people only on opening weekend, Friday night at like 7:00. 2 people. I've only bought tickets for that. Now, is this a sign of comic book movie fatigue or just bad movie fatigue? Well, it's obvious. It's bad movies. Because, again, as far as the marketing was concerned, it was all about
the agenda.
The message.
That's what.
No, I'm sorry. Like, look, and the optimist in me believes that when you see them, like people from the movie involved who are saying like, yeah, we just want to be aspiring to younger girls about being superheroes. Like, I can appreciate the good intentions to some extent, but you're taking it too far to the point where it's repetitive and annoying. Like, if you wanted to do that with the first Wonder Woman, but still make a good movie, yeah, sure, whatever. Like, again, why do I need to remind everyone? You can have your message. Just make the movie good first. Or just make the movie first.
Or better yet,
I can't trust
don't bring it in
movies that market that have that in their market. Like if in the market of the movie, that's what they talk about. Like, because the idea of having a character that would be that young women can aspire to, if you're creating a female character, it kind of comes with the territory. Like, to the point where you don't need to say it because it's already understood that's what you would be doing. Or a character that could appeal to anybody.
Well, yeah.
I mean, that's how you make a good character, right?
Yeah.
Something that can appeal to the audience, that the audience, regardless of how they look, that you can relate.
I mean, yeah, did we really need all these talking points when it came to like any movies or properties of the past? Like characters that we like, legendary legacy characters that we have loved since our childhoods. Like, did we need that kind of talking points when talking about someone like Wolverine or the Power Rangers or Luke Skywalker, Batman, Superman, Spider-Man? Did we need all that? No. Because as children, we might be taking it at face value, or so some might think. Like, sure, the face value is what interests us. Like, oh, this guy in this cool costume that's red and blue can shoot webs out of his fucking wrist, climb walls, and kick ass like a ninja. That's cool. But then you find there are a lot more layers to the character of Spider-Man as a character, and then you find, holy crap, I can relate to this guy in some way. Like, that could be me one day. I mean, yeah, maybe not completely, but in terms of like character traits and personality and goals and shit. Not As like it's the superpower shit aside that I'm talking here. Like
It's like the
in a
icing
way,
on the cake, you know.
like yeah, in many ways, I do feel like Peter Parker when it comes to talking to girls. Like I'll just say that I'm awkward.
Fair enough.
Touche.
But you know, I'll say this: that when you have something like I'll use Godzilla -1 as an example. When you have a movie that has a universal message that pretty much anybody can get behind, and then that movie is well received, you would think that would be a message that, hey, you know what? Maybe the idea shouldn't be to push messages that aren't universal. That's where things start to get muddy, especially when you're putting it in a movie. So I was on Reddit the other day, and I'm a part of this Godzilla fan page, and somebody had made a post of some YouTuber that was basically taking a giant shit on the Godzilla X Kong movie, seeing the pink Godzilla, saying, "Oh, the message or some, not all, the chatter surrounding Godzilla's design in that film is essentially equating that Godzilla X Kong is woke and they're making Godzilla trans or something because of the color pink." And I read that and I'm thinking to myself, who the fuck is saying that? Like, this is supposedly people from our side, if you want to title it that. And then the people on the other side see that and they say, well, that looks and sounds retarded. That you're associating the color pink with trans shit, And I'm thinking to myself, it's a twofold thing, because on the one hand, you probably do have people. I mean, you have people that have said, "Oh, well, yeah, this Godzilla X Kong movie looks like shit." All right, whatever. Like, most of the time, it's coming from people who didn't grow up with Godzilla. They didn't watch all the movies. They didn't realize how the franchise was diverse in the sense of tone and story and themes. Like, there was so many different Godzilla movies that had so many different feelings. Like, you take the original 54 film and how impactful and how serious that film was. Then you jump into, let's say, 1966, 65, around there, where you get some silly Godzilla movie. You might find it hard to believe that this is in the same franchise, but it is. Okay, and so I look at Godzilla X Kong and the MonsterVerse as something that's a little bit more fun and silly and entertaining in that sense, compared to -1, where it's more grounded and serious. And a sentiment that's coming up that I sort of partake in, that I sort of agree with, is that we don't want to put Godzilla films into this box that it has to be serious all the time. Because if you look at the history of Godzilla films, we've had quite a few films where it's a solo Godzilla movie, where it's only one monster, that being Godzilla, and it's focused on the human story, along with Godzilla, obviously. And I just don't want the franchise to be labeled as, oh, well, it has to be just like -1 or it looks like shit. Because I saw the new trailer for Godzilla X Kong, and I was excited. I liked what I saw. Some of it reminded me of the classic Godzilla films. Other parts of it reminded me of Planet of the Apes a bit. Like, I'm talking the more recent ones, the Matt Reeves ones. So that was pretty cool. I love Godzilla. I like the sort of dynamic that they're going for. I was a little concerned when they were talking about the sort of buddy cop angle between Godzilla and Kong. The director was talking about how he was sort of inspired by Lethal Weapon, and a tagline that they don't have to like each other, they just have to work together. And another tagline, rise together or fall alone. I like it. I've come around to liking the idea. Yeah, there's every chance the movie's going to suck, for sure. It's just the point I'm making in all this is that this post on Reddit these people, so many people in the comments were just like shitting on people like Nerdrotic for, pointing out things like, oh, well, Godzilla -1 is anti-woke, and people were saying, oh, anti-woke, it just means that there's no gay people in there and shit. And I feel like we don't have to do this, but I'll do it anyway, just for the sake of conversation, that when you have to be able to define these terms, we said earlier about context and how context matters, right?
Yeah.
When people like Nerdrotic is saying that Godzilla -1 is not woke, or for those who are saying it's anti-woke, it's an anti-woke Godzilla movie. I mean, the context matters, and yeah, there could be better ways to express the point you're trying to make. And that point being that because Godzilla -1 had a universal message that most people can get behind, that's why it's destroying Hollywood. Because Hollywood loves to push single-minded messages or very specific messages that, by its very foundation, alienate a good portion of the audience. For example, you want to try and market a movie like, let's say, Charlie's Angels, the Charlie's Angels reboot, where they were saying that this movie isn't meant for men. And then articles come out later saying, oh, why aren't men going to see it? Well, fucker, you did say earlier this isn't for men, so why would men go to see it if you just said it's not meant for them?
Basically,
and then blame the men for
double-edged
having the movie fail.
Basically, you just sabotaged yourself.
I mean, I've said many times, I do not care for the W word there, because I do think it gets thrown out. Like, I'll say this, the right, they throw that word out about the same way the left throws out all the bigot buzzwords, right? But at the same time, I get it. Like, when we say Godzilla -1 is anti-woke, we mean it's not trying to push these messages that cater to that crowd.
Right.
It's telling a story with a universal message that many of us could say, ah. And it's done in a way that makes you think. That way you're engaged and invested in the story, not just being clubbed over the head with these messages or whatever. I mean, and back to the whole, like, marketing, like, again with the Marvels. Like, they try, every time when these movies that are clearly trying to make some kind of, trying to push some kind of message, they flop. Their first instinct is say, okay, was it racism or was it sexism? Well, the Marvels flopped. Well, they try that. Like, the Marvels flopped. Well, they tried every excuse they can with that movie. Like, oh, it's because of the economy. Oh, it's because of the strike. Oh, it's because of sexism. Well, as the possum pointed out, Barbie was the highest grossing movie of last year. Barbie. Keep that in mind. Barbie was the highest grossing movie that made over $1 billion. But yeah, the Marvels bombed because sexism. Never mind the fact that statistics have shown that the majority of people who went and saw it were men. And they were probably just the comic book movie loving normies who probably don't give a shit, or they could be those types of people who just want to say, hey, see, look, I totally support women. See, I went and saw the movie. And the way people like to go back to the first Captain Marvel and say, well, that one made over $1 billion. It made $1 billion when it was sandwiched in between Infinity War and Endgame. Not to mention when the MCU was still at the peak of its hype and cultural relevance. Like, yeah. Like, people, like, again, when people, even when we were all going to go see Captain Marvel, were we really going in like, oh my God, I'm so excited? No, we weren't. We weren't that excited. We were just kind of like, all right, let's just get this done. Like, this is just filler leading up to the finale.
Right.
Like, it's filler.
You're basically an hors d'oeuvre before we get to the main meal.
And you know what? This is another thing that bugs me, and this is just gaslighting from these fucking articles and shit that I can't stand. It was this article I saw where was just talk about the 10 biggest crowd pleasing moments in the MCU, like moments that made the audience erupt into applause and shit. Now, of course, a lot of the scenes they mentioned were legit, like Avengers Assemble and shit. I Am Iron Man for the last time, all that. They also added the part when Captain Marvel arrives in the battlefield in Endgame. I mean, I don't know about you, my theater was pretty quiet when that happened. It's just like, because why should we care when like, why would anyone be in an uproar? Like, just think about it. Why would anyone start going, woohoo, that character who has very little personality or anything else and has only had one movie just showed up?
I would have said,
Yay.
boo.
Yeah, I mean, her
Or
relevance was practically non-existent because they didn't build
especially
her up.
especially in that movie too. And like Endgame, she's barely in the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good thing, but
It's funny because I had seen a YouTube edit that put Superman in there instead.
Oh, well, then I'd cheer, even
Yeah.
though it would make no sense, but I'd still cheer at that. But
Like, yeah, fuck it. Superman.
And it's Henry Cavill too. Yay. He deserved better. But
yeah.
But back to the whole article thing, and then they also added that part from Endgame. You know which part I'm talking about.
The MCU being born and that
The birth of the MCU. But again, nobody was cheering in my theater, and it was a packed theater on opening weekend, by the way, when I saw that. Nobody was cheering at that. I just kind of looked at them like,
it's distracting.
Okay.
It's very distracting because it just so happens that all these female characters just came in and just like, let's have our girl boss moment.
I mean, Infinity War did have a moment like that, but it wasn't obnoxious. Like that being the part where Black Widow and I don't know the Wakandan chick's name come to help Wanda there, where she's like, she's not alone. But then again, Black Widow was there, and we were invested in her as a character at that point.
Right.
And again, it's just two others who are just looking out for each other. Like, and because there was already a decent enough partnership between Romanov and Maximov, it was cool. It was satisfying. But the thing that really got under my skin with that article wasn't saying that those are the moments that made people fucking erupt in the theater. You're missing two really big ones. Like Captain America with Thor's hammer. Like nobody was quiet when that happened. Nobody.
Portals.
Well, yeah, like I already said, that one was on the fucking list. So I'm saying which ones weren't. And like Mjolnir flying to Captain America, like that was the biggest fuck yeah ever for me.
Because I cheered. Me and Kayla cheered.
Oh, well, how could you not? They built this up like 4 years ago where it's like, could he be worthy one day? And even with Thor looking at him with pride, that was pride when he said, I knew it.
Yeah.
Like that was satisfying as hell because he's the leader of the Avengers, and he's, in my opinion, with the Avengers, he was one I was the most emotionally attached to.
Yeah.
So yeah, to see him be the one to finally get that power he had to work so hard to become worthy for, it was satisfying. It was a nice payoff. And then the other one where it's like, oh, don't add this one to the list. The part, and this was 2023 when this article, or was it 2022? It doesn't matter. Where's the part where we got to see the return of Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire? Because let me tell you, my ears were bleeding when that happened.
Yeah.
That makes two of us.
Same.
Yeah.
Three of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was a big moment. And it's funny because it's almost like history is repeating itself in that aspect because we're getting Deadpool and Wolverine, which is seeing the return of some fan favorite characters played by fan favorite actors at a time where, well, it's not entirely good for Disney. Like, it's not very popular.
No.
And so the question is, is Deadpool and Wolverine going to save the MCU? Short answer, no.
No.
Another question, could it? Yeah. Though, again, I'm going to lean back into what I said about the Elon Musk thing, that really the only way that you're going to save the brand is by, well, a change in leadership. You gut the hell out of Disney. You hire new people that actually give a damn. That's what you have to do, because
fucking throw them out on the street.
Of what is in Disney right now is just cancer. I made a post about this on Facebook that it's not just the corporations that are the problem. It's these fake fans, or these people that they being the corporations are appealing to, that are then pushing the shit out into the public domain. And it starts with the corporations ultimately, because you get enough people to not buy the shit, they're going to start failing. And then those people that are the shills, that are in the fan base, that have rooted themselves in, they're not going to have much leg to stand on, and then they're going to just fade away into irrelevance. And then we can start seeing some change, but it starts with us. So I can't, as excited as I am for Deadpool and Wolverine, I won't see it unless somebody's like, hey, I'll pay for your ticket. It's like, okay, fine, whatever. I won't pass on a gift from somebody who's trying to be nice.
A nice gesture.
Yes. With that said, I'm not it's like the thing with Madam Web. I'm not gonna go see Madam Web. Like, I want to mention this. There were reviews on Rotten Tomatoes that were along the lines of, Morbius, come back, all is forgiven. Like, that's how bad Madam Web is. It's like, it's Morbian time.
That's what I find hilarious. Now, that is the only way that could possibly save that movie at the box office. It's not going to happen. As if, like, I watched Cody Leach's review of it, like, right after I got home from work. And from everything he was saying about it, it's like, holy shit, is it really that bad? And because it's me, I'm sort of thinking, should I see how bad? No, I don't. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to go see it, by the way. But while I was watching, like, the thought was in my head, like, should I just go see how bad this thing is? But the fact that he also felt the need to point out, this is not like The Room, where it's so bad, but you can't look away from it, where you're just finding it entertaining. He called it a great big nothing burger. Like, I would just say, if anyone is curious, I'd say just watch Cody Leach's review. It was pretty entertaining. But yeah, Madam Web, like, I didn't even know who the fuck this character was, if I'm being honest.
Is this?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I only knew about her from the 90s animated series.
And again, Cody Leach, he actually went into some spoilers, like, sort of spoilers, if you will, talking about cameos, like saying that Adam Scott is in the movie, and he's playing Ben Parker. And apparently in the scene where he's, like, younger Ben Parker, I mean, I think this movie is supposed to take place, like, 20 years ago or something. But he says that he's talking to fucking Madam Web there, and he says, oh, I got a date. Oh, what's her name? He doesn't say anything. He's like, oh, being secretive or something. It's like, and now you're just dick teasing us with, like, trying to build this this is like trying to build a cinematic universe with Lego. Like, one piece at a time. Like, we know who he's going out with. It's obviously Aunt May.
How is that such like a big...
And apparently, there's more. Like, apparently, Emma Roberts is playing a young Mary Parker who's pregnant. Does that have anything to do with the story? Apparently not.
It's just there for a nod to the...
Now, here's the thing with Sony and Spider-Man. It has driven me nuts for the last decade. I am telling you. Like, ever since The Amazing Spider-Man 2, like, that movie, I may not hate it as much as I used to, but it fucked everything up. Everything that they had planned. because that movie threw all their eggs into one basket of trying to set up the Sinister Six and all that, and the Amazing Spider-Man 3, and it was just trying to build the universe, but it didn't do a good job at building the present part of it while planting seeds for what could come later. No, it's all about just, okay, just get this stuff out of the way, set up the future, bada bing, bada boom, we're good to go. Right? Wrong, because your sequel got canceled, and then Sony begrudgingly decided, okay, Disney, we'll share. Now, of course, back then, we were happy because that's when the MCU was still good.
Right.
And Disney skeletons in the closet were still in the closet, so we were blissfully ignorant about it.
Right.
So yeah, we got to see Spidey in the MCU. We were happy, and then as of now, it's become even more stupidly convoluted. Okay, we got our own little universe in the Sony verse now. That's full of Spider-Man's rogues gallery, but we don't know how to handle these characters except Venom to some extent. I mean, those movies were, well, the first one was decent.
Mm.
The second one had moments, but god damn it. Mic drop moment. Are you fucking serious? And Morbius, again, mismarketed as shit.
It's Morbian time.
Okay. Oh my god. But even with Madam Web reviews, like I also watched Lee McCoy's review of Madam Web. I think it was it either this morning or yesterday? I don't remember. But he even said that the villain in Madam Web was more forgettable than the villain in Morbius. Well, that's an extremely low bar because I legit don't remember the villain. I really don't. I barely remember that movie at all now. All I know now are the fucking memes.
Which is why that movie got a second release, funny enough. That people were making a joke saying it's Morbian time. And then they added that as a line in the movie. Like,
wow.
What is going on? Like, you know what? If the audience has that much of an influence on a movie, I want to see more of it. I want to see some of these memes come to life in a fucking joke in the movie.
Yeah, for better or worse, I think we're having too much influence on movies and how they're being presented and what's being put into them.
That's true.
Again, for better or worse, it could go either way here.
Well, you know what?
Sort of like
Madam
Sonic.
Web is as bad as it is, then it's like, yeah, bring back Morbius. I'll take Morbius. If we're at a point where Morbius is no longer the bottom of the barrel, which, to be fair, I would put like the Marvels or even Captain Marvel as the bottom of the barrel for Marvel, because not only is Brie Larson such an unlikable individual, but her character, which is a tokenization, is also garbage. I didn't like her character. The actress yeah, exactly. The actress is insufferable. She's rude. She's unlikable. It's like, you know what? Give me Morbius. Give me it's Morbian time. You know what? I'll take that as a positive sign that they're looking at the audience reaction. It's like, okay, yeah, it was a fucking joke. The movie isn't very good, but you know what? We're having some fun with it. And to say that you're having fun in a movie like that is a hell of a lot better than having some bent lecture you about, oh, I don't care what some 40-year-old white dude says what he didn't like about A Wrinkle in Time. It wasn't made for him. Well, you know what? I guess Charlie's Angels wasn't made for him either, and that movie flopped harder than a fucking landfill.
And apparently it's his fault. It's his fault.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
But, you know, that's funny when you talk about how insufferable she is. Like, you saw that interview with, like, her, Hemsworth, and Don Cheadle, and she starts elbowing them, and Don Cheadle just gets really fucking annoyed. Like, just, like, knock that off.
Yeah. It's kind of sad. Like, I kind of feel bad for her, but at the same time, she's, like, egging it on.
Like,
yeah.
Like,
I will knock you on your ass.
When the interviewer was talking about, like, oh, you're going to be the next Tom Cruise. And she's like, no, I'm going to be the next me. It's like, how fucking narcissistic are you? It's like, yeah, you could become popular like Tom Cruise if you weren't so insufferable and rude.
If you weren't
that like a personal attack or something?
Yeah, fuck off. But yeah, I mean, look, that is another issue with, and it's not just with Marvel. It's just, I mean, you could say with Star Wars too.
She became her character from Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, pretty much. Envy Adams. That's very true. It's just my point that I was going to bring up is that letting these actors open their mouths, whether it be in interviews or whether it be in social media, where some of them will attack the fans, and it ruins the movie. You know, we talk about how you have movies like Godzilla -1 that put out a sort of universal message that anybody can get behind.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have other movies, preferably in Hollywood, and the actors open their mouths and discriminate, and I'll use the term in this case, discriminate against the audience that is critical of the work, and then accuse them of being, one of the ists or phobes. And then the movie flops. It's like, well, what do you expect? You're biting the hand that feeds you. You continue biting the hand that feeds you. This isn't like a one and done thing. It's like it's a constant battle. It's cyclical, right? They put out something very divisive, and they do it on purpose. The audience responds to it saying, well, this isn't cool. This isn't great. What are you doing? And then you attack them. You attack the audience. You attack the people that are paying your checks.
The paying customer.
Right. And then you go back to square one. It's like, well, they didn't like it, but fuck them. We're going to make more garbage, and they're going to say the same thing, and then we're going to respond to it, and then, we just make more garbage. It's, again, cyclical.
Yeah. But when you were talking about the whole meme thing, even that I get tired of getting incorporated into movies in any capacity. Now, like take, for instance, again, Spider-Man No Way Home. Now, obviously, I knew they were going to do that, but you know what? I'm glad they did that. But I'm talking about, what's certain lines of dialogue that were, in a previous movie in the franchise has become a meme itself, like in No Way Home. I mean, I know it's mostly harmless, but for me, I just find it to be annoying. Like when Norman actually does say again, I'm something of a scientist myself. It's like, we get it. It was mean. Like that's another form of jingling keys for me. It's like, a meme.
It is.
But I mean, remember in Black Panther, that was one of the worst ones when his sister does that. What are those?
Oh my god.
And considering that I find that whole thing to be cringy anyway, context with Black Panther aside, every time I hear somebody say that, I just shut the fuck up. Please shut the fuck up.
I almost had a moment like that with a coworker today, but
you held your tongue.
I held my tongue. I'm so like that. But then when I'm walking around, I just imagine. Let me just put it this way: I imagine there's a fucking camera right in front of me, like I'm on reality TV, just going. That's how I deal with it. That's the best way I can handle it without directly saying anything out loud. Just yeah, I know I may look insane considering that I'm talking to a brick wall when I say that, but at least I'm not being rude,
right?
Or cringy.
Or preaching to the choir about how they're all sexist and how we should be more tolerant of women, even though we can't define what a woman is.
Yep.
It's not hilarious. We got to be more appealing to women, but what is a woman? The very same corporation that is supporting that bullshit.
Mayonnaise a woman?
What?
Is mayonnaise a woman? I'm just being a smart ass. SpongeBob reference. Just carry on.
That doesn't make sense.
Well, you said what identifies as a woman, and I said, "Is mayonnaise a woman?" No,
Itchy.
Thank you for breaking the mold there.
You're welcome. Okay, final conclusions. I'm very much looking forward to this Disney and Gina Carano lawsuit. I'm hoping the best for Gina. I'm hoping to meet Gina again so we can have a conversation. Shit, I'd like to bring her on the channel.
Fuck yeah.
Wouldn't we?
Agree.
I want to get I have a dream, right? I want to get.
I have a dream.
I want to get drunk 3PO on here. I want to get Nerdrotic, like Eric July, have a war on pop culture collab, and just shooting the shit, talking about
That
all
would be
this.
the fucking day, man.
Hell yeah. Maybe have Peter Anthony drop in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, sorry, I'm digressing. It's just, it's frustrating. Like, we understand to some extent what Gina was going through. The concept of being canceled and the ramifications of that, where your character, like your public persona and your reputation, gets destroyed by, as she put it, one of the most, if not the most powerful entertainment company in the world not being able to find work. That's the ramifications of cancel culture. And it even happens on the smallest level. Like, let's say the freaking clerk at a Starbucks. They say something that the rest of the employees don't like. Oh, this guy said something that was transphobic. He can't work at another restaurant ever again. And shit like that's happened. Where people, they can't get work because they've been blacklisted as one of the phobes.
Or the is.
That's a problem. That's a very big problem. And looking at it from the macro scale, in the case of Gina Carano, or looking to us, I mean, look, it was a relatively small thing. It's just the concept that you're snuffing out something that's barely got off the ground. That's terrible. That really just kicks the morale in the balls, But with that said, we did end up going to Fan Expo Dallas. We met Gina Carano. We met Friday Night Tights, Nerdrotic, Eric July, Ryan Kennel, Geeks and Gamers, and we got good word from them that the mere fact that you went through all that and you're still here, that you didn't waver in your viewpoints, that's what matters. It shows what kind of people you are. And in the end, I mean, that road led us to you, Danner. The mere fact that you're here with us, it's the reason.
Hell yeah.
It all happens for a reason. So despite all the hardship, and believe me, it was stupid. It was very stupid. But what did Harvey Dent say? It's always darkest just before the dawn. I promise you, the dawn is coming.
Mm-hmm.
I can get behind that. So if you're ever in that position, whoever's watching this, just remember that you're not alone in that. You just gotta associate yourself with the right people. Make sure that if you ever get into a network, that you know where people are standing on certain issues. Like, you don't want to enter into a network that is full of vipers and you're the rabbit.
Oh, fuck no.
Yeah. Or basically, you are in a violent storm and there will be a lighthouse there to guide you to port.
Sure.
We'll go with that.
Okay.
T-Con had came in earlier. Now is the time to speak out. The door is closing. Stay the course. Very well said, Danner, on that quote. Something from earlier. Danner, get the finger from Carter Sauce.
Okay.
But yeah. Well, tonight was great, guys. Special thanks to everyone, that stopped by. J-Man, T-Con, to the three of you that are watching right now. Thank you for hanging out with us. Stay tuned, as always. Horrorwood this Saturday?
No, we're taking a couple weeks off. Chris wants to do some catch up on some shit. So,
okay.
I mean, this was already going to be the off weekend anyways, and next weekend's an off weekend. Just putting it aside for the time being. Just taking a little break, I guess.
Right.
Which is a good thing, too, because it turns out my brother's got a gig next Saturday, so it's like, okay. I'd say it all worked out.
A gig is a gig is a gig.
Yeah, sure. And, I don't know. What have we got? What are we doing next Thursday?
Carter?
Well, I'm glad you asked. We are continuing Frightful February, leading up to our collaboration with Backtrack Cinema into March of the Monsters, where it's episode 2 with From Dusk Till Dawn.
More vampires.
Yep.
Yay.
I guess that's the theme. Vampires.
Well, it's frightful.
Not just any vampire. Salma Hayek.
With whiskey and feet.
And
weird
boas.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're there for the feet and the whiskey.
Yeah. Yep.
And whatever that thing is with Tom Savini.
Mr. Bang?
Yeah, sure.
Mr. Bang. I'm pretty sure that's not what he called it, but okay. I guess.
But anyway.
Yeah, Frightful February.
Yep. It's all month long if nothing pops up.
If nothing pops up. You mean like war and pop culture related?
Yeah.
Because if something does pop up within the next week, we might have to shelve some shit. I don't know. No, I think we should be okay. I mean, if worst comes to worst, make a video on it or do a bonus stream on a Friday if we're able. I mean, one way or another. Because we're going to be following this Gina Carano situation very closely. Being that, I mean, once again, diving into our little sob story, if you will. It meant a lot to us to meet Gina at Fan Expo because of what happened. Being able to meet the person that we were backing, in a group of people that just so fucking stupid. That I can't. That's the only way I can describe it. They were fucking stupid. The conversations. If you guys after the stream, you can go back and look at some of the conversation. Just how people were getting things objectively wrong. She never said anything about Republicans in that fucking post.
Or conservatives or any other members of associated parties.
The point is people were literally saying that she literally said Republicans. You go back into the intro, that's what that conversation with that individual was saying. The individual said he put literally in the caps, literally said Republicans. Literally? Where is it? That's why in the response I said, where does it say Republican? And the response, don't be stupid. You know what she meant. Motherfucker, you said literally.
Insert John Travolta meme. Like,
anyway, so I mean, look, the shit got stupid, okay, and it's still stupid. It's par for the course.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Needless to say, it was important that we met her, and also needless to say, we're going to be following this because we have her back. Hashtag I stand with Gina Carano. If you want to do hashtags, I don't usually do the type of hashtags and
Justice Regina.
It's like when you try and say LOL in real life, it's like. What? It's like, no.
Speak English.
Or just laugh. Laugh out loud. Yeah. Oh, God, that's so funny.
or laughing my ass off.
No, not even that, Carter, because it's too close to LOL. It's like, don't say I'm laughing. Never mind. The point is, no fucking LOLs in real life, okay? That is for text. And even then, it's still silly as hell, but
I still hate it. I mean, I could tolerate it, but I still don't like it.
Regardless, special thank you to our Patreon supporters. Their names will be in the outro, as usual. Stay tuned next week for Frightful February, and maybe something else if something else does pop up. So, with that all being said, remember that, like the truth, the entertainment is out there.
I'm Special Agent Spooky Clutter.
I'm Special Agent Carter Sauce.
Special Agent Dr. Richtofen.
And until next time, fellow investigators, remember.
The entertainment
is out there.